This response will not be any kind of criticism. Oh no. This will be an answer to a contested question posted by a channel I like called RealLifeLore. They made a video talking about a potential Russian weapon that can cause a tsunami with devastating effects. Here is a snippet of their description.
And apparently, a nuclear blast underwater can create something potentially even worse. A tsunami, and not just any tsunami, a half-kilometer tall, radioactive, apocalypse-scale tsunami. The only country in the world that's apparently been crazy enough to develop a weapon like this so far is, unsurprisingly, Russia. The weapon's official name is Status 6 Oceanic Multi-Purpose System, and its codename is Poseidon. The first public report of the weapon system dates back to September 2015, and the details are genuinely insane. It's a weapon so powerful it seems like it should belong in a bad science fiction movie, and yet it's apparently quite real. Poseidon is an unmanned drone in the shape of a torpedo that can be loaded onto and launched by a submarine. A Poseidon drone could also remain dormant in a box on the ocean floor, just waiting for a signal to come back to life before carrying out its apocalyptic attack, like a Reaper from Mass Effect. Either way, once a Poseidon is armed and activated, it can have a range of 10,000 kilometers, and it slowly travels across the ocean ominously towards its target over a period of weeks or even months. The drone travels so slowly in order to avoid detection, but when it's nearby an enemy coastline, it rushes ahead at over 100 miles per hour to get close enough to detonate its nuclear bomb before it's detected. The bomb that the Poseidon drone carries is allegedly the most powerful nuclear device ever created, capable of unleashing a completely insane 200 megatons of explosive power, and all of it underwater. Is allegedly enough to generate a 500-meter-high tsunami wave in the direction of an enemy's coastline. That wave would be so high that it's almost impossible to fully appreciate. So here is what the Empire State Building would look like right next to it. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami that devastated Indonesia only reached a maximum height of only 30 meters. The weapon is apparently specifically designed to circumvent the capable US and European missile defense systems. If nuclear missiles are heading towards your country, you can at least try and shoot some of them down before they make an impact, and you have a chance. But what chance do you have at stopping a 500-meter-high mega tsunami?
Normally when it comes to criticizing Putin's Russia, I usually take a swing at their nationalists and it would go in this playlist. But RealLifeLore seems like a channel that would infuriate both liberals and conservatives, so I can argue that they're centrists just like me. In any case, close to the end of their video, they put forward a challenge.
I challenge anybody watching this video to come up with a good defense or solution against a Poseidon drone attack down in the comments.
Considering that I love missile defense and I hate the tactic of mutually assured destruction, I just had to give this a go.
I accept that challenge.
The first point I want to make is that we have to first question the validity of the claim. All the specifications of the bomb have only been reported by the Russian state TV, not the most reliable news network. The Russian government has bragged about so many of its weapons as superior that it's actually become quite questionable. The Russians have bragged about their newest tank, the T-14 Armata, being the best tank in the world. However, this claim has been criticized as the tank has never seen active combat, which puts its reliability into question. People even criticized its durability since it broke down during the rehearsal for the 2015 Victory Day parade and had to be towed for repairs. Another example is how they claim that a Russian fighter jet electronically disabled missile defense systems on the US's Donald Cook, which was also shown to be fake. The validity of the Poseidon's bomb specifications are also put into question when you consider the technicality of a 200 megaton warhead. RealLifeLore has compared this to the Tsar Bomba.
For reference as to why that's insane, the biggest bomb ever tested by humanity so far was the Tsar Bomba by the Soviet Union. That bomb destroyed every building in a 55-kilometer radius, caused third-degree burns 100 kilometers away, and shattered windows that were 900 kilometers away. It was detonated here in Novaya Zemlya and shattered windows all the way over here in northern Norway and Finland. The shockwave from the explosion circled the entire Earth 3 times, and despite all of that awesome power, it was only 50 megatons. The Poseidon bomb has 4 times that amount of power.
However, what RealLifeLore doesn't tell you is that the Tsar Bomba project was cancelled because of its infeasibility for use in combat. The bomb was so big and so heavy that the Tu-95 carrying it couldn't place it on a missile, and it was too heavy for planes to transport it to the target with enough fuel. To make things better, the plane had its bomb bay doors and fuel tanks removed in order to make transporting the bomb easier. Over the test site, it was dropped by a parachute. A bomb this big is simply too bulky to be placed on any kind of delivery vehicle, and a bomb of 200 megatons, 4 times the size, would dwarf the challenge than that posed of a 50 megaton warhead. You would probably need a submarine the size of a small island to transport that bomb out to sea, and moving it around would be hard as well. While it is theoretically possible to use nuclear weapons to create a tsunami, it would not be an effective weapon. You would do much more damage and kill more people in an airburst over a city than by plunking it in the water offshore. Most nuclear bombs in a conflict would be between 200 kilotons and 4 megatons, which can damage and destroy a 300-kilometer radius. A 200 megaton warhead is simply too big to be useful. But okay, let's say that this weapon does work the way the Russians claim it works. There is still a way to stop it. A drone is reliant on electronics to receive information on travel and directions. What's the best way to deal with that? An electromagnetic device that would disable any source of power. The system works by emitting a high-intensity electromagnetic beam that would stop a vehicle in its controls and turn off its engine.
Okay, I'm approaching the target now, which is a big black Jeep, and I'm just coming up and I'm losing power. The lights have gone off and the car is dead. And here is the guy who can tell us exactly what's just happened.
Dr. Ernst Krogegar heads up an international team developing a new device which stops suspected suicide bombers' vehicles. The team is now testing this new technology at a secret location in Norway. The NATO-funded project has developed a high-intensity electromagnetic beam which makes engines cut out.
The ignition will generate a very high-intensity pulse, and it will interfere with the electronic control system inside the car, so the car engine will stop.
Obviously, a car is very different from a drone, but the principle remains the same, and it can also be used on water.
The next question is, can the device defend against attacks on water? In the year 2000, terrorists launched a suicide attack against the USS Cole, ramming it with a boat packed full of explosives. 17 US personnel were killed. In this test, the device is mounted on the back of a vehicle facing a lake as a jet ski prepares to launch a simulated suicide attack.
So Justin, how does this work then?
Well, try to push that button.
This one here, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
There you go.
You might be asking, where would the device be posted? Well, one area is a location called the Gyuk Gap, as is the only Atlantic corridor that the Russians can pass through to reach the US or Canada. It was a prominent site in the Cold War, and it saw frequent military exercises and patrols. They would also be placed on the northern Scandinavian coast to protect NATO allies there, as well as the Bering Strait and west coast to protect the North American side. In the event of a conflict, they would be placed on a high alert, and as Venom would say, that Poseidon Bomb would just be a floating turd in the ocean.
You come in here again. In fact, you go anywhere in the city preying on innocent people, and we will find you and eat both your arms and then both of your legs, and then we will eat your face right off your head. Do you understand?
Please.
Yes. So you will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind.
Furthermore, there might actually be a way to stop A real tsunami. A tsunami is actually produced by seismic events and are ocean shock waves that are thousands of kilometers long, which can span from one continent to another. Mathematician Usama Kadri from the University of Cardiff thinks that acoustic gravity waves can lower their magnitude or even stop them. Acoustic gravity waves occur naturally in oceans, cutting through water at the speed of sound, and their power might be enough to dilute the strength of the tsunami so that most of its energy would be used up before it even reaches land. These waves can stretch for hundreds of kilometers, and it's thought that plankton rely on these waves to move around and find food. Now, naturally this is a crazy solution, and at the moment it's only hypothesis, thus more research is required to see if it would work, but it is a good approach. All in all, the idea of keeping deterrence afloat when missile defenses are developed is not a new thing. During the Cold War, the Soviets developed a doomsday ship designed to end the world on its own if it detected radiation, but this never saw the light of day. They all have the same end goal, which is to make sure that any conflict can be stopped. But I plan on making a video about this in the future. Nuclear deterrence does not work, and weapons of such magnitude should not be in any arsenal. That is why I do support missile defense in the utmost.